Welcome to The Explainer. That shock you're feeling at the grocery checkout? Yeah, that might just be the beginning. Today, we're going to connect the dots, all the way from the farm to your fridge, and uncover what's really driving up your food prices and what it means for all of us here in Australia. So let's just start with this sobering warning. And look, this isn't some market analyst speculating. This comes directly from the Agriculture Minister. When the government itself is flagging a potential 20% price hike, well, you know we're looking at something pretty serious. This really sets the scene for what we're about to unpack. So, this is the big question, right? Why is this happening? It's so easy to just blame one thing, but the reality, it's way more complicated. There's this whole chain reaction going on behind the scenes that most people just aren't seeing, and that's exactly what we're going to map out for you. Okay, so the problem really boils down to what our source material calls a twin crisis. See, it's not one single issue. It's two of the absolute pillars of our food production system getting slammed at the exact same time. This is basically the origin story of why we might be seeing empty shelves in the future. Let's break this down. On one side, you've got fertilizer. Simple as this. Without it, you just don't get the crops you need to feed everyone. And the big global suppliers, they've basically turned off the taps. Then on the other side, you have diesel. I mean, it's the lifeblood of everything. Farming, transport, you name it. Its price has gone through the roof, and we're not even sure how reliable the supply is anymore. And look at this. This just shows you the sheer scale of the problem. Russia controls a massive 40% of key fertilizer exports. So when a single country with that much power decides to stop shipping to protect its own food supply, a shockwave smacks into countries like Australia that depend on imports. And here's the other half of the crisis, laid bare. A staggering 85% of our farms rely on diesel. And we're not just talking about tractors here. This is what powers the irrigation pumps, the generators, everything. So when that one fuel source doubles in price and gets harder to find, the entire system is put at risk. So here's the crucial part. This isn't some problem down the road. It's happening right now. Farmers on the ground are being forced to make an absolutely impossible choice. Do I risk planting a crop I might not be able to fertilize or even have the fuel to harvest? Or do I just cut my losses and not plant at all? And a lot of them, they're choosing not to plant. All right, so let's follow this through. A problem that starts in a paddock way out in the country doesn't just stay there. Nope. It kicks off a domino effect that travels hundreds, even thousands of kilometers, right to your local supermarket. Now, this is something you really have to get your head around. When oil prices go up, you feel it at the pump the next day. A food crisis, though, it's a slow burn. The price increases we're seeing right now are just the early tremors. The real earthquake hits months from now, when the food that was supposed to be grown this season just isn't there. And you can see the unavoidable logic right here. It's like a row of dominoes. You knock over the first one, farmers not being able to plant because of costs, and it doesn't just cause a little hiccup. It guarantees a crisis at the end of the line. And that's when you see empty shelves. And if you want to put this in perspective, get this. A dairy producer recently said that the freight cost alone for a single 2-liter bottle of milk is nearly $2. That's before you pay for the milk, the processing, the bottle, anything. Now just think about that cost pressure on every single fresh item in your shopping trolley. So all of this brings up a really frustrating question. I mean, Australia is a land of plenty, right? We're one of the biggest energy producers in the world. So how on earth did we end up so incredibly vulnerable to a crisis that started thousands of miles away? Well, the source material really points to years of policy decisions that have basically chained us to the global markets. We depend on imported fuel, we depend on imported fertilizer, and we depend on fragile international shipping routes. When any one of those chains breaks, we feel it, and we feel it fast. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the bizarre situation we're in. We're an energy superpower, but here we are, dependent on other countries for the absolute basics. It just highlights this huge disconnect between our natural wealth and our national security. Okay, so that's the problem. It's big, but let's pivot to solutions. What can you actually do to prepare your own household for what might be coming down the pipe? Here's a really practical way to think about it. Fresh foods, especially anything that needs refrigeration and transport using all that expensive diesel, they're the most at risk of big price jumps. So shifting some of your shopping focus to shelf-stable alternatives like canned fish, pasta, and lentils, that can really create a buffer for your budget and make sure your pantry is always stocked. Now, let's be clear. The key here isn't to panic buy, not at all. It's about smart preparation. Just having a few extra weeks' worth of these essentials on hand. Canned veggies, rice, long life milk. It means you're insulated from any sudden price spikes or if something is just not on the shelf one week. It's just a sensible buffer. And for anyone on a fixed income, these strategies are absolutely crucial. Just simple things like planning your meals for the week and really focusing on those pantry staples. That can dramatically stretch your food budget. And hey, there's a bonus. Fewer trips to the store means you save on fuel and you cut down on those sneaky impulse buys. So we'll finish on this thought. This whole situation, it isn't just about your grocery bill. It's a massive stress test of our country's self-sufficiency. It shines a really bright light on a fundamental weakness and forces all of us to ask, are our current policies really set up to protect Australia's long-term security?